Hey, all my Aquarius friends. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today with your June 2023 monthly horoscope. These horoscopes are based on whole sign Western astrology. So I'm talking about Aquarius rising. If you don't know your rising sign, all you need is your exact time of birth and location, and you can go to any one of the free birth calculators on the internet and get that information. It's important because I'm going to talk about the house structure, and the house is sort of the environment that this is taking place in. This video is also applicable for Aquarius moon and Aquarius sun. It just won't have the same house structure. So let's jump right in. This month feels as if it's a month of a time to integrate our epiphanies and our understandings and the awarenesses that we have experienced over, I don't know, the last couple of years, really. So much has shifted. And I believe now is a time to start to drive the bus of our lives. And if anybody can drive the bus of their life, it's an Aquarius. And I say that because you rule large systems, you rule hopes and dreams, you rule science and technology and innovation. And yes, you rule the nervous system. And oftentimes we associate a sense of anxiety with the sign of Aquarius. But I have been shown in my meditations from spirit that oftentimes that anxiety is an inner knowing that the actions you may be taking or the thoughts you may be thinking aren't in alignment with your deeper truth. So if you do find yourself feeling slightly anxious or unsure this month, you might want to go into your fun body, into your expressive body, into your imagination, and allow yourself to dig a little deeper into, if I had all the money in the world, if I had all the resources I needed, how would I live my life? Because we see right now Pluto at the 0 degree of Aquarius. It's retrograding, but it's going to move back into your 12th house in June. But I don't want to start there. Let me start with Venus, because Venus is the sign of love. Venus is the sign of our self-worth. Venus is the sign of our money. Venus is the sign of our partnerships, our creativity, our voice. And she's going to be entering Leo for 4 months. That is your 7th house and the house of your partnerships, of the house of harmony and diplomacy and cooperation, of fairness, of a sense of exchanging of energy in a way that makes sure there's a win-win. And this energy of Venus, to me, in the 7th house is really offering you an opportunity to express yourself, to use your voice, to be I want to use the word leader, to be the leader of your 7th house dynamics. 7th house, while it rules our marriages, it also rules professional or contractual relationships. So you can have a contractual relationship with your employer. You can have a contractual relationship with your business partner. They're very legally binding relationships for the most part. But here, I think this is more about your approach to relationships. Aquarius by nature is extremely independent, kind of knows how to go its own way. And at the same time, that can be a little bit frustrating in a partnership. And here, I think what we're going to experience as Venus moves into Leo is not only an opportunity for romance and for fun, but to see an even exchange, a more I guess I want to say an ebb and a flow within your relationships that feels more balanced. So it doesn't have to be 50-50 per se, but as it goes up and down in its own particular life, you might find yourself feeling more balanced within that. Venus is going to start off the month a little bit tense. I don't mind saying that, as she makes an opposition to your 1st house and then to your 12th house. Because as Venus moves into Leo, it's going to pick up where Mars left off. Mars started this this tense conversation with Pluto as they sat in opposition of one another. And now Venus is coming up shortly thereafter. And I believe that what Pluto is doing in your first house is really asking for that renovated version of yourself, for you to be as the phoenix and rise above the ashes, and to garnish the wisdom that you so richly deserve. Leo is a sign of fun. It's a sign of self-expression. It's a sign of the comedian, the actor, or the performer, the child. It's a house that I believe the reason that Leo rules the zodiac is because that is the truth of the human experience that has been drowned out by all the other houses through the human structure. So I believe that as Pluto moves back into your 12th house, this is going to happen around June 11th, excuse me. It's going to give you an opportunity to really start to look at some of the ancestral dynamics, some of the places where you personally have not been able to see. The 12th house rules the house behind us. And it's going to call forth an opportunity to trust a more intuitive knowing. And that intuitive knowing is playing to the dynamic of Aquarius being the scientist, the experimenter, the person who hypothesizes and then creates that hypothesis in the material world through tenacity and through liberation and revelation and rebellion. So I think that you're going to reinvent yourself over the next few years, probably the next 20 years, just the way Capricorn has been able to reinvent themselves as Pluto is transiting their first house. So as the month starts off with Pluto in an opposition to Venus, Venus will have now joined the grand fixed square that's created between Pluto, Venus, and then those two planets squaring the nodes. Now the nodes are a karmic point. The North Node is what we're stretching for, what we want to experience, what we're unfamiliar with, and yet we're evolving towards. And the South Node is what we are patterned in and what we're very familiar with. So when we see the North Node in Taurus, we see this wanting to build something sustainable, wanting to build something that provides a sense of my own accomplishment. And we have the North Node in Taurus right now, and it's being joined by Jupiter. So there's this expanded, ravenous feeling of wanting that shift to take place. And at the same time, this grand fixed square feels a little bit like it's pinching me, like it's a shirt that's too tight. And if I move my arms too much, I'm going to rip the shirt. So I feel as if maybe it's good to rip the shirt and allow for the air to come in and breathe new life into your version of what you want for yourself, because this is very much about you. With Pluto at the 0 degree, this is like birthing of a child. And not every Aquarian is going to be an early born Aquarian, but this is giving you a glimpse of what is being offered to you over the next couple of decades. And we're going to see this happening throughout the rest of 2023. Venus, while she rules beauty and she rules money and she rules partnership, for me, I always sort of go to that she rules my self-worth. She rules my confidence. She rules my ability to feel valued in this world. And that oftentimes is directly related to how we've experienced our family growing up, how we've experienced their support in our ideas and our endeavors. And for my Aquariuses, this Pluto moving into your 12th house is bringing up ancestral dynamics. And these are not ancestral necessarily in this lifetime, but almost in your soul's lifetime. The 12th house is a house that sort of commingles the earthly experience with the spiritual experience. And as we become more aware of our spirituality and our spiritual practices, we can't help but start to plug in the divine laws of the universe. And that requires us to be mindful of our thoughts and what they are focused on as they are creating. So I think this is the last bit of the renovation that's taking place for you personally. And we still may be in a dismantling of old beliefs so that we can build new beliefs as Pluto moves into your first house. We also have a very strong dynamic between Pluto and Neptune. Neptune is currently in your second house, has been for, I don't know, 14 years right now. Maybe, I don't quote me on that because I didn't look it up. But Saturn has recently entered your second house. Saturn's going to travel from 0 to 7 degrees in Pisces this year. Right now, it's approaching the 7th, or is at the 7th degree. It will stay at the 7th degree for the whole month of June. This is in the house of your self-worth, naturally ruled by Taurus. It's a house of money. And I believe that Saturn is here asking you to be very determined and very tenacious in your willingness to incorporate a spiritual, compassionate, empathetic part of yourself with that more forward-thinking, scientific, futuristic version of yourself. It's like, I almost feel as if you yourself, Aquarius, are going through a period of time where, in recognizing any sort of electrical charges, anxiety, any sort of calling from your body into your awareness, is also calling forth this energy of an awareness of what is a deeper truth to you. And as that truth bubbles up, you may fear alienation. That's one of the shadow sides of Aquarius. You're so forward thinking that those that are standing in the herd sort of look at you like you're a bug or an alien. And Saturn and Neptune are both in your second house. So this is, to me, really an opportunity for you to rewrite your confidence, your self-worth, and to capitalize on that by allowing yourself the privilege of exploration here and liberation here, and thereby making more money. As Pluto moves back into your 12th house of Capricorn, it's going to go to the 27th degree, and it will be making a sextile till November with Neptune. This to me feels very favorable. It feels as if I start to implement through my deeper awarenesses and my willingness to excavate those that have control and power over me, either through money or through sex or through their dominance, or maybe I'm perpetrating those energies. Now I get an opportunity to infuse the divine laws of the universe. I hate to use the word spirituality because it feels too broad of a term, and people operate in varying ways in that broadness. Here, I'm literally talking about the law of allowing, the law of attraction, the ebb and flow. Every action has an equal or greater reaction, those divine laws. Here I see as you're experiencing Saturn going into your second house, there becomes this awareness, and you become a stronger builder in that second house area. I feel as if there is also a sextile happening between Saturn and Jupiter in Taurus, which thereby means the North Node. This is, again, a favorable aspect, but yet it's not going to give you results immediately. It's going to ask you to continue to examine your belief system, to allow for diversity. And in that diversity, it's not just people accepting your uniqueness, but you accepting their lack of uniqueness, potentially. There are energies on this planet that are very comfortable within the human structures, and they don't want that change. And as evolved beings, we get to understand, or at least attempt to understand, their value in that way. That there are those that will represent a more content version. I believe Aquarius is always stretching. Aquarius loathes contentment, loathes sitting. It's a dreamer. Aquarius rules the house of hopes and dreams, and they're rewarded over time because Saturn is your co-ruler. And you've experienced Uranus in the house of Taurus, where Jupiter is right now and where the North Node has been. So you've really been going through this opportunity to examine the things that you've been building and your viewpoint of them. Again, going back to feeling confident, feeling self-assured, and trusting the ebb and the flow of that. Because true confidence is a willing to feel unconfident, inconfident, to lack confidence in some way. Because when we lack confidence in an area, we seek education, we seek balance in that area. And I believe that's what Aquarius has been walking through. While Saturn stations at 7 degrees Pisces for the whole month of June, this is the Libra degree as well. So here we're going back to the idea of an air sign, meaning Libra, an air sign being Aquarius, both being able to kind of come up above a situation and see the balance in imbalance, to see the divinity in disruption, to see the need for chaos before we can implement fairness or more balance. So I think that this is very favorable because Saturn will be drifting in and out of a trine with the South Node in Scorpio. This to me very much speaks of this sort of, we think of the South Node as an erosive place, which is kind of interesting because it also represents our patterned thought and our soul's habitual and familiar way of being. So what the South Node is asking is to let go on some level or to step back from that habitual way of being so that we can assess it and see if it's still working for us. And then the North Node with Jupiter right now is offering us new faith in ourselves. And the North Node is exasperating the wanting and the desire to move in that direction. So I think that this is very favorable between Pluto and Neptune having a sextile and Saturn and Jupiter having a sextile. I feel like there's favorable dynamics for us to take a slow, steady pace and be gentle with ourselves as we go through this series of awarenesses that lead to a new understanding that leads to a almost voracious feeling for wanting to express myself and my own independence, and regardless of how other people perceive it. Now we have a bit of a challenging dynamic between Venus and Saturn as we get to the 10th of June, around the 10th. It'll last for a little while because as Venus gets to 4 to 9 degrees of Leo, she's moving forward right now. Then she will retrograde when she gets to 28 degrees Leo. She'll go all the way back to 12 degrees, and then she'll move forward again. But when we're at the 4th to 9th degree, we're in what I think is a loose in conjunction. So we're having a blind spot, a quincux, I think it's also called. This is where, for me personally, I feel like I'm driving down a mountain road and I'm about to come around a corner. And I know that there could potentially be something I'm not aware of, but I don't know what that can be. And it requires a bit of flexibility and instinctual behavior as I approach or as I encounter this unexpected dynamic. So if we look at Venus, which is traversing your 7th house, and we look at Saturn, which is in your 2nd house, there could potentially be something unexpected that reveals a piece of information that was buried beneath your awareness. And that doesn't have to be negative. It could actually be the opposite, and it could be very positive. Because I think that Pisces as your 2nd house makes you very creative, makes you very imaginative, makes you very, I think it adds to this forward thinking, this thinking outside the box. And what you may end up finding is that you embrace your difference, that you're actually celebrating that in verses where you may have inadvertently before wished that you were more accepted by the herd or by the crowd. It feels like this blind spot potential feels a little bit like a wake-up call and then a revelation. So there's a for Aquarius in particular, it feels almost like this blind spot turns out to be serendipity. something that feels a little funky actually turns out to work better for me. And it's illuminated something so I don't have to trip on that when I move forward towards my dreams. We also have Saturn will go retrograde on the 17th. And on the 17th, we have a new moon that's 26 degrees Gemini. And that new moon is going to be making a square to Neptune. And I think that that square is really the difference between practical and realistic, and dreamy and maybe feeling unrealistic. And I think the beauty lies somewhere in between the two. And I say that because the Neptune being in your second house, to me, feels as if there's the potential that the new moon is planting seeds in the house of your mind, in the house of your speech, in the house of your interaction with your teammates, your workmates, your siblings, and how you perceive yourself within that dynamic. And I think that the square is offering you a spiritual, evolved connection to a sense of yourself that is outside of this earthly experience. And so initially it feels a little jarring. I should be earthbound. I should be going to a job every day. I should, I have to, I must. All those things feel funky and difficult to me. And there's Neptune saying, but you get to do this and you want to do that. And this sounds like fun, because it engages your imagination and it expresses your creativity and it shows your talents. And the square is, which side will you choose? Because there's a part of you that may want to default Saturn, history, what is familiar. You may want to default to that, even though it doesn't feel really authentic to you. And that's where Venus in your 7th house may show up. And I think this is an opportunity for you, rather than to go into a polarizing dynamic of a yay or a nay, I'm either in it or I'm out of it. This is an opportunity to sit somewhere in the gray area for a bit, so that spirit can bring in an experience that inspires you or encourages you into action, versus you taking action unsuredly. Inspired action feels exciting to me. When I'm taking action that is slightly fear-based, it feels arduous to me. And I don't always identify the fear part, but I can feel the arduousness of it. So I just want to offer that for my Aquariuses, because I think this is a very powerful tee up for you personally before you experience Pluto's transit through your first house. I'm a Libra sun. I'm an Aries rising. I haven't experienced Pluto in Aries, but I have experienced Pluto transit every single one of pretty much my personal planets since I've been born in conjunction. I'm now personally experiencing Pluto's squares. When I first discovered that information, I got nervous. Pluto rules death. I immediately went to, physical death. And then what I realized is that my soul signed up for a transformational lifetime. My soul decided that it wanted to incorporate the wisdom of the things I've walked through versus feeling alienated by them, feeling outside of myself. And so I've learned to trust Pluto. I've learned to seek divine wisdom when Pluto is mixing things up a little bit. And I've also surrendered to Pluto when Pluto has removed something from my life, because I've been able to see the imbalance that it was fostering and where I was being depleted. So don't be afraid of Pluto as it enters your first house. Embrace Pluto, because Pluto can make your life amazing. And Pluto can give you things you can't fathom right now. So I want to offer that to you. That's it for this week. For this month. I hope you will join me on Sunday mornings live at 11 a.m. Pacific time. That's where I do a weekly, I do a tarot card and an angel spread for each one of the signs, and we get the divines advice and support for moving through the week ahead's transits. Also, please like, please subscribe, please share, hit that notification bell. And if you'd like to get a reading with me, either an astrology reading or an angel reading, I am available. Just send me an email. My information is below in the description. All right, Aquarius, I will see you soon. Have a wonderful June. Peace out.